Greetings, everybody. This is Cultivating Intimacy. My name is Kazembe Abena, also known as a Heart Whisperer and Intimacy Coach, and also a holistic practitioner, holistic healing practitioner. Good to be here again on this rainy evening of September, I think it is September 5th. Yes, Tuesday night. 9 p.m. as we always do. I'm going to invite a couple people here before we jump into this too deeply. Let me invite some folks. And we are talking about SenergetiC BDSM tonight. But before we get into that, I've actually got a couple of announcements to make. Number one is a retreat coming up, Sacred Sexuality Retreat with Brian and Karen Craig. It is their signature event, and it is phenomenal. It's coming up October 11th through the 16th, I believe, and it is sensational. They do a very good job of creating a very safe environment for men and women to explore sensuality and spirituality. There are meditations, there are workshops. It's going to be, and this year particularly is going to be fantastic because it's going to be in Destin, Florida. And they have a private resort that they have secured for this year's retreat. So I really want to encourage you to check it out and do it if you have not already. In addition to that, I am having a Reiki certification class in this month, September 30th and October 1st. That is a Saturday and Sunday. And I am looking forward to that. I am offering Reiki. So you will get your master certification. You will actually get a certification, physical certification as well. And you will get the master attunement in addition to the two other attunements that come with, well, actually three other attunements that come with Reiki of the 3 levels. All in one weekend, 2 8-hour days. And it's only for $3.99 for the special. The special will be running until September 15th. The special will be running to September 15th. So you definitely want to do that. You definitely want to take advantage of this. It is something that I don't do that often, and I don't think I'll do it again this year. So definitely take advantage of it. Reiki is a wonderful modality that actually is really finally penetrating the Western medical system in terms of hospitals and physical therapy offices and chiropractic offices. They are finally doing what really the rest of the world has been doing, particularly Asia and Europe, for decades. So that's a wonderful thing. Hey, we got some folks that are here. Hey, Tasha and Riss and Krista, how are you? Good to see you. Good to see you. Thank you for joining up. I'm excited about tonight's topic, which is SenergetiC BDSM, what and why. And I'm going to get into that in a minute. So again, kind of going back to the Sacred Sexuality Retreat that is October 10th to the 16th, you definitely want to check that out. Go to Sacred Sexuality, The Art of Sacred Sexuality on Facebook and check them out. Again, this is Brian and Karen Craig. I also have various posts of that retreat coming up on my homepage of Kazembe Abena, my homepage. So it is a phenomenal retreat. This will be the 3rd time I think that I'll be presenting at it. Yeah, I think it is the 3rd time. And each time it is mind-blowing. It's just a mind-blowing, highly transformative, safe, warm, positive environment that Brian and Karen are very skilled at creating. And not everyone can do that, but they can. They have found a way to do that where people can really express themselves, where people can really get healed, where they can do hands-on workshops in a way that is non-threatening, in a way that actually respects people's privacy and respects people's wishes. So definitely check it out. If you are grown and looking to have a grown folks experience in terms of a mature experience and embrace who you are physically and spiritually, you definitely want to check it out. In addition, also posted on my page in several places is a workshop that I am doing, or a class rather, that I'm doing, a certification class for Reiki, for those that want to become Reiki masters. I am giving in 2 days a Reiki master certification, September 30th and October 1st. The reason people often ask, well, how can someone become a master in 2 days? It's not that they master the technique. What it is that they actually have received the master level attunement, which in this case is called Daikumyo, which allows them to attune objects and others. So once you receive that attunement, that energy, no one can take the title of master from you because you have that master attunement energy within you now. That's where it comes from. So for those of you who were kind of questioning, how can someone be a master? That's how it happens. That's how it happens. So it's really great to have this sort of modality. It's non-invasive. It supports other modalities as well. So it's really great to have. If you have any questions about that or the retreat, please look on my page and or hit me up in my message box and we will connect. I'm having a special for $3.99 up until the 15th of September. And then after that, it will be $5.99. So that's a pretty steep discount. I would really encourage you to take advantage of it. And this class will also be able to be taken by people remotely. So if you're in California, New York, Oregon, wherever you are, North, South Carolina, you will be able to take this course still. You'll be able to patch in and take this course. And the remote cost for the course is $3.99. So I'm trying to make it as easy as I can for everybody. So there's really, if you've been looking to do this, now's the time to do it. Now's the time to do it. And Reiki is a great modality because it begins to infuse your body with light God force energy, which really gives you, starts to steer you in the direction of more optimum health, whether it's a mind, body, and spirit. So very, very important to do. All right. Hey, Stacy, how are you? Thanks for joining up. So tonight's topic is SenergetiC BDSM. SenergetiC BDSM. And I am going to ask that people be, as I always try to do, that people participate. So the question that I have tonight is, who knows what BDSM stands for? Who knows what BDSM stands for? Feel free to jot it down. Feel free to weigh in, to chime in, because I'm going to be asking several questions throughout this 30-minute show tonight. So ask away. Ask away. I'm going to give you a few minutes and see who can tell me what BDSM is, what it kind of stands for. Don't be shy. We only got 30 minutes, so don't be shy. We got to keep it going. Don't be shy, y'all. Don't be shy. Hey, Miriam. How are you, love? Thank you for joining up. So the question on the table is, who can tell me what who can tell me what BDSM is? Who can tell me what BDSM is? So BDSM being 50 Shades of Grey. Okay. Frankly, those of us that are doms and mistresses and that have been doing this for several years, we hate 50 Shades of Grey because it shows a very negative, very neurotic type of interaction. And, the BDSM that they show, of course, is attached to that, as if you have to be damaged in some sort of way to do BDSM. We're going to get into that in a minute. That is not the case at all. All right, so someone Risk says in terms of what BDSM is, it says bondage, discipline, sadism, and masochism. Very good. Very, very good. Very good. Very good. So the question, I guess, is, well, how in the world can bondage and discipline and sadism, which is, getting joy from, inflicting pain, and masochism, harming yourself, self-masochistic and things like that. How can that possibly be healing? And that's actually a very good question. That's actually a very, very good question. So real quick, I've been practicing BDSM for about 15 years, and I got into it because I've always been attracted to subcultures anyway. And I love the subcultures. I love people coming together, making their own decisions about the types of relationships that they wanted to have, even if it's temporary. I like that power play. I like the dominance. And I like being able to put on a character and to play something that we typically don't in our everyday lives. It was very important to me for various reasons. So it allowed me to express a certain side of myself that I just had not stepped into that often. I also got into it, and I created SenergetiC BDSM, which is a combination of sensual and energetic BDSM, because I wanted it to have healing parts to it. I wanted it to be a healing modality. And I did this after I started to work as a healer regularly. So this was probably about 7 years ago. When I look back, I was actually doing parts of this when even I was in LA and didn't know it. I just didn't put a name on it. I was just doing it my own way. What I like about subcultures or alternative cultures, or however you want to say it, is that you are typically able to create your own. I do not believe at all that we are all cookie cutter. And that hints that, I don't believe that we all really should be doing the same thing or have the same responses to the same thing. So a lot of alternative ways of relating, or subcultures, etc., are there because those people are saying, listen, we know what mainstream is, we know what the status quo says, but that stuff just doesn't work for us, at least not in this arena. So we're going to form our own because this is what works for us. So the BDSM community, also known as the kink community, talks about this, and they are saying, listen, we are human beings just like anyone else, but there are some things that turn us on beyond just what what they call vanilla relationships may espouse. There are other things that we like to do. Now, I'll be the first to say this. There is no fault in someone who does like vanilla play, who does like the standard relationship and likes the interaction to be what we typically know as, your typical dyad, or your typical, just your typical sensual sexual relationships. There's nothing wrong with that at all whatsoever. I believe that people have to be who they are and do what makes them feel comfortable. There's no problem with that. I'm just saying that we need to also create a space for those that want something different. And we need not to automatically condemn people for wanting something different. Are there limits? Are there guidelines? Of course, absolutely. And just for me, my limit and my guideline is not hurting anyone. That is not consensual, and also no children. That's my thing. That's my thing. So in terms of other people, and there are all sorts of things going on in all sorts of configurations of relationships. And obviously with the 50% divorce rate, a one-on-one traditional dyad relationship, marriage, monogamous marriage is not a foolproof guarantee that marriage will be successful, hence the 50% divorce rate. So I think now what's happening is that a lot of people are stepping out of that, and they're saying, you know what, I'm going to try and get what I really want. Hey, Feather, thanks for sharing this. Thank you so much for sharing this, Miriam. So, and I think there's a lot of bravery, and I really that's endearing to me. That's endearing to me. So let me get into Synergetic BDSM. So Synergetic BDSM basically has three components to it. It is a method that utilizes sensual touch, impact play, and energetic cultivation and movement and stimulation. So those three things. You have your sensual touch, impact play, and your energy cultivation and movement. Those three things. So by using those three principles and tools, we're actually able to raise the energy of the person. Hi Shanna. Two, thanks for joining up. To prompt breakthroughs, healing, so that people can embrace themselves for self-acceptance, so that people can come to a place of more trust of others. And the way that I have it set up initially, the way that the method begins, is that they are those two people that are, and I train individuals and couples, and I do workshops. I just did a workshop a few weeks ago. And the way that I have my method set up is the first thing that happens is the connection. That's the first thing. That's the first thing that happens is the heart-to-heart connection. Because for me, when I would see the interaction, when I'll go to dungeons or whatever and see in clubs and see people doing BDSM, and even when I would see it depicted in films or whatever, it came across as a bit sterile for me. It came across as a bit mechanical, a bit lifeless. And I said, well, I think what's missing is the heart-to-heart connection. I'm saying just most of the ones that I saw, not everyone. You know, there are other types of I believe they call it SYN, Synergetic BDSM, out there. Mine is SEN. It's out there. Anthony, how you doing, buddy? Thank you for joining. So, you know, that was the thing that I really wanted to address initially. And I found that the heart, we as human beings, we really want to connect from the heart first. And if we do that, it always makes for such a much more profound experience. So back to how, and with Riss's on point definition and description of what BDSM stands for: bondage, discipline, sadism, and masochism. And it can also be, you know, bondage, dominance, you know, submission, mastership. I mean, there's a whole lot of other titles you can throw in there, other names and words you can throw in there. But in terms of what makes it healing is the intention, So that is the cornerstone of this work. The tools were, again, sensual touch, impact play, hey Latifa, and energy cultivation and movement. But that is all undergirded by having an intention to assist, heal, and exalt the person. So in other words, I can spank you, or I can bind you with an intention to hurt you, or with an intention to heal you, or with an intention to love you, which is love. And believe me, the action may appear to be the same, but it's going to look different based on that intention. And that is the foundation of Synergetic BDSM, is that the first thing you do is line up your intention. And that intention is actually agreed upon by the Dom and the sub. So the sub participates in forming their own intention They are participating in their own healing. They are participating in their own breakthrough. They are participating in their own bliss, if that's what they want. This is important. This is really important, because I've had a lot of women come to me and say, well, you know what, I really need some healing. I know I need to heal. I need to heal from men. I need to trust somebody. I need to specifically trust a man. And again, let me say this, that this is not gender specific. So this could be a woman dominating a man, man, woman, 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 man, man, whatever. It's all open, because we're all human beings. So it works either way. But I have a lot of women come to me and say, you know what, I need to heal, and I think this is going to help me. So this is kind of what we call shadow work. It's in the sense that the person has to face their fears. They're bound. They can't move. They have a blindfold on. They can't see. They don't know what's coming. They don't know when. They're being told what to do. Then they're being spanked, or whatever you do. And different DOMs have their specialties. My thing is, I'm very good at impact play. And the reason I'm very good is because I finesse it and I know how to build it up. Maisha, hey, how are you? Thank you for joining up. I know how to build up the energy with the impact play. I'm very good with that. And I know how to raise you up and take you to the edge, but it's a slow process. And all of a sudden, you end up taking a lot more impact than you thought you could, and it actually feels good. So that's just kind of one of my specialties. That's what I do. But again, going back to this, when everything is undergirded by a particular intention, women come to me and they say, I want to heal. I want to trust someone. And if they have been violated in a way that involves sensuality and sexuality, they must step back into that arena. And it doesn't have to be the exact scenario, but it still has to be about sensuality or sexuality, because they've got to be able to play that out again with a different outcome. So women come to me and they say, I want to have this experience. They're making a decision. When they were violated before, it was against their will. Now they're coming in with their will. They're making a decision. They're saying, you know what? I want to do this. I've made the decision. Fantastic. We sit down and we talk. All right, let's talk about it. We talk about parameters, the do's and don'ts. We talk about what they want in terms of an intention to accomplish. What's the goal? Is it bliss? Is it healing? Is it trust? Is it a personal breakthrough of acceptance of self? It could be a myriad of things, but typically it does fall under either bliss, healing, or some sort of freedom or emancipation. Those three areas. So they make that decision, and they are a willing participant in setting up their parameters, in telling me what they want and what they don't want, and whatever they say, the trust comes in because I have got to stay within those parameters. That's my job. If I violate that, then I have not done my job as a Dom. I am not a good Dom, and I am just simply another violator. I'm simply another violator. But if you take a person through that, you take a woman through that, where she has made a decision. She's made a decision to allow me as the Dom, to handcuff her, to put a blindfold on her, and to take her through this process. And then she comes out of it safe, not scarred, not disturbed. That leads to her empowerment. Because then it's like, you know what? I did it. Wow, I did it. Sure, it was a little scary. But it was scary. It was titillating too. And I did it. I did it. And they have themselves to thank, as well as me, to go through the process. They made a decision. They were strong enough and brave enough to embark upon this journey, this short journey, this scenario, and meet their fears head on. You do that and you come out the other side, okay? Now you're triumphant. Now you have conquered a fear. Now you have emboldened yourself. Now you have healed a part of yourself. Now you have conquered a fear. Now you know that you can trust. And Maisha says beautiful. And it is a beautiful thing to see. It really, really is a beautiful thing to see. So I'm telling you all this just to kind of demysticize some of the, I believe, false understandings and notions about what this stuff does. It's just like anything else. You have business, you have marketers, okay? There are good marketers and there are bad marketers. You have managers, there are good managers and there are bad managers. You have doctors, there are good doctors and there are bad doctors. You have doms and mistresses. There are good doms and mistresses and there are bad doms and mistresses. Period. It's just like anything else. It was very important to me to bring a healing component to this and bring it to the forefront just based on who I am and what I do. Emmanuel, hey buddy, good to see you, man. Thanks for joining me. Because in my mind, I just couldn't do this work and there not be healing. That just wouldn't work for me. It just wouldn't work for me. It's not who I am. And the beauty of this, the beauty of alternative cultures, subcultures, etc., is that you get to make up your own mind and create your own world. Even if you're not seeing it as that, we should be doing that anyway. But that's empowering. If you know you need something and you know that mainstream culture is not providing that, create that for yourself. Create it. Create that for yourself. Who says that you can't have it? Again, you know, I'm talking in generalities here. I'm not talking about, you know, some Jeffrey Dahmer stuff where I'm saying, yeah, you want to kill people, go ahead